Hi, my name is Dave Ventura. I'm from GraniteCrete. Today we're going to do an install with bay maples. And we're just going to show you how to do an install here today using our pre-mix method. Thanks to PBM for getting the material all mixed up for these guys. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Here's the product pre-mixed. We use a 3/8 minus C DG along with the GraniteCrete admixture to produce the binder and everything. A good way to tell the water content is when you can squeeze it together and it holds like a ball. It's still kind of breaking away. And the other thing that you'll notice is the color starts bleeding into your hand. That's a good way to test the product. And then you don't need to get it smooth. You're going to want it rough up anyway because we're going to be using rakes to mix in the water. You're going to put about half of the lift and then we're going to start the mixing of the water in. Once the water starts in it, it thickens up and it's hard to move. So if you keep it thin, it's a little easier to get the water mixed into it. So these eggs have wider teeth, and when it gets wet, it gets chunky, kind of like asphalt, and it's just easier to move through. Those, as you can see, the teeth are a little closer together, and they just don't work quite as well. It shrinks 25%. So what you want to do is put it, if it's a 3-inch lift, you're going to put it 3/4 of an inch above finished grade, and then that's when we'll get the compaction going. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So yeah, just get a little water on there first, and then just start mixing it up, guys. Yeah. So you just see how it's already starting to ball up. Yeah, that's what it should be doing. But yeah, you guys want to get it all the way down to the bottom.
So this kind of where it clumps up is where we want to be.
And then for you, as you see when they're moving it, and you see where it doesn't have it, squirt water on it.
Okay.
So you're that's why the shower nozzle is so much easier, because you can just manage it a lot better.
Okay.
So in the process of doing this, the water is a very important aspect of it. It's about 8 to 9% water content, but it is forgiving too, in the sense that while you're doing the mixing process and you overwater it, you can just add dry mix on top of it and mix it in. See how the process is starting to clump it together already? See how here it's not? So you got to be the one managing that water and make sure that these guys, all they're doing is going back and forth with it.
Okay.
This is just the process of mixing it together. We have bigger jobs. You can utilize a volumetric truck to do the install. It's basically a batching unit. You get an install, if you do it right, you got a 15 to 20 year life cycle on it.
Great.
And most of your other DGs, if you get 5 years, you're jumping up and down. The only time you would have to do maintenance is if a pipe broke underneath it, or a root broke, the root grew through it and broke it, then you'd have to fix it. The repair is just like you would with concrete. Cut out a section, do your work underneath, and then you just reapply it.
So it's repairable.
Yes, yeah. Because our product is a semi-cementitious product, it's very important to keep the whole thing moist. It's semi-cementitious, so it's cement. There's cement in it. And basically, you want to keep it moist so it's pliable and it'll be easy to work with. Once it starts drying out, it starts curing, and you can't work with it anymore. You start seeing that, where you can definitely tell that's dry, you want to just hit some water on it. So the way you want to test to see if it's the right water content, get a handful, squeeze it in your hand, see how it's all sticking together? Yeah. And then the other thing is, see how the color is bleeding into your hand? That's perfect water content. Now, if you squeeze it and water oozes out, or it's mucky, in fact, I can look right here and I can tell this piece right here is mucky. See how it's...
But you can kind of just mix it in with the
It's almost kind of muddy, or in my hand, that's too much water. All you do is add more dry mix into it and mix it in to get the right water content. See how it gets like a little glissy, little gliss to it, or shine to it, I guess. That's immediately it's too wet. And then you just keep on building up on it, guys.
Yeah.
So you're gonna just now, that's why I said you're gonna just dry mix to this, and then start mixing it up till you get to the right level, and then you just slowly move around. So you can just get the wheelbarrow and just dump it right on top of that. Just dump the whole wheelbarrow right on top of that. Now you got that second layer on there.
Yeah.
You know, you want to start building it up to where you want it to be. Your finished grade. It is labor intensive. We usually recommend for an install this size, probably 5 guys working it, because then you have people moving in the material as they're raking it in like this. You have a guy managing the water. One guy just specifically, that's all he does is manage the water. And a couple of guys do the rakes, and you have guys moving material in as they're doing this piece of the process. One thing is that I think you guys are mixing it up a little too much. Just, you know, it's just basically getting it wet. And you know, need somebody really to manage the water, because then every time you make a move and there's a dry spot, you hit it with water, and then you put product over it, dry product in, and you hit it. So I mean, you guys are doing a great job, but it's just the lack of people right now is what we need.
One more.
We need one more person would make it perfect, because then you have one guy moving material in and the other guy managing the water. And very important aspect of this is a shower nozzle control handle for the water, because you're constantly like spraying on it, and to manage it, it just makes it a lot easier than doing this. Now remember, over here, it's gonna compact.
Yes.
So you should have it a little bit above finished grade. Okay.
We wanna. I could give you a light layer, and we could wet it. Is that better? Or?
We can just pull it.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually that's what they'll do, is they'll pull it from the other section. It's already wet and everything. Because one of the things that you need to remember is your finished grade, once you compact it and you see you have grade issues, you need to address them right away. And the way you do that is you use the rake and break up the top where you need to raise it, add more, moisten material on top, and then compact it. You don't want to, it would be like trying to add onto a finished grade here of concrete where you've done it, and then, you need to fix it.
Yeah.
You can't put just concrete on top of it to fix it, right? Same concept with this. If you've got a grade issue, you want to break up the material again, add more on top, and then compact it, so it binds with the lower compacted part already. Currently, we carry 5 color schemes. We have natural gold, caramel coast, desert sand, Sonora adobe, and ash gray are 5 standard colors that we offer. We do offer custom coloring. With that, basically, you give us the color you're trying to match. And we have a third-party lab that we have partnered with, that will get the exact ingredients that we need to come up with the color, and we do it that way. There is a premium charge of $500 to come up with a custom color, and then we do have a minimum order of it too, of 2 pallets, which is 80 bags, which usually equates to about a 2,000 square foot job is what it's about. So if you have anything that big or bigger, custom color, we definitely can help you out on that. Generally, it'll take us about a month to come up with a custom color. Nice cool day, so that helps with the drying technique. And the other thing to keep in mind when you're working on jobs like this is to have a spray bottle, a garden sprayer.
Yes.
Keep one just off to the side. When you notice it's starting to dry up a little bit like that, just hit it with water. As long as you keep the product moist, it's workable.
Okay.
As soon as it starts drying out, then it's just like concrete. That's it. It doesn't stick anymore. Okay. So once GraniteCrete gets wet like this, you have about 90 minutes to work with it. On an average day, in the 80s or 90s. If it gets real hot, you're going to shorten up your time a little bit. On a nice overcast day, you're going to have more time, probably 2 hours plus. If the product is going to freeze overnight, so if the temperatures dip below 32, We don't recommend you do an install that day if you know it's going to freeze that night, especially like the first 48 hours that it's going to hit. Same thing with rain. If you know it's going to rain within 48 hours after the install is complete, you have one or two options. Either you don't do it or you cover it with plastic. So the problem with it is if the water beats on the top of it, what it'll do is it'll wash the binding agent off the top layer. So right now we're going to start the finishing work. They got far enough ahead where we can start doing the finishing. It's important to get the edging done correctly, and what I mean by that is good compaction on it, and then also making sure that the grades are correct. It's better to address the grades while you're doing it now than to come back later and try to fix them. So you're just basically going around and compacting it to the finished section. Don't be afraid to whack it, guys. You can't over compact it with this stuff. What I would recommend, you stay ahead of everybody and get the initial compaction done, and then the guys with the floats can come back around and fix any grading issues that might be not going up to the edge. Because then you're getting a good compaction going on right there. For the rolling finish of this, you cannot roll it too much.
All right.
Okay? You want to roll this until that thing doesn't make a mark on the product anymore, or your feet do not make a mark on it. Once you got to that, that's good compaction.
Okay.
Have a float in the back of your
and then
pocket. That way you can clean off.
measure
Because
for
if
those
this stuff's on here, it'll leave a mark on the product. And just try to keep that thing as clean as possible. So this is one thing. You don't want to get water. After you've compacted it, you don't want to spray water on top of it, because what it'll do is it'll cause a sheen or shine on that one spot. So what you're doing is the product is still good. Just throw it in a spot where it's going to go underneath.
So this area got a little bit too wet, so it was going to create like a bit of a sheen on top. And so if that ever happens, you can dig it up and put it in an area that's still dry, and that way you can get the moisture content fixed and bring some new material over here and have it at the right mixture level.
So this shows you, this is a sign that there was too much water.
And it's all coming to the surface.
And it comes up, the water will come up, it'll rise to the
At
top.
that point, the material's more dense than the water, and it's just pushing it up.
So I'm pretty confident you guys can get this section done today. I mean, as far as you are already, it's not even noon. You should be able to finish this all in one day. If you've got a big install where you just can't finish it in one day,
Oh, gotcha.
we have a process down for third joint. So, one rule I tell everybody about the install that I forgot to say: if it looks loose, it is loose. So get a little bit of the fines, throw it on top, and whack it down to compact it. See how a bunch of the aggregate is accumulated in one spot?
Yes.
This one's okay, but you're going to see ones that are a little more looser. Like I said, you can look at that, and if you feel like it's loose, it is.
And would it be better to hit it with a little bit of water right there?
No, you don't need to. You use the wet aggregate. So something they've already mixed, grab a handful of it.
Can I screed?
Yeah, you want to fix that right there, definitely.
Can I push it this way and kind of...
Don't push too much stuff, because then you get that look to it. Bring material in and then compact it is what you want to do. It's not like concrete where you trowel it. This is just mainly you're using the trowel to move the material over and then compacting it down. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Remember, the compaction is about 85%.
Yeah.
And if you go, the higher you go over that, the less permeable the product is.
Yeah.
GraniteCrete is not just a product. It is a combination of the 3/8 CVG the admixture, the GraniteCrete admixture, and the installation process. That's what gives GraniteCrete its look, its finish, its durability, its ADA accessibility, all of those things. It's a combination of all three things that actually is the GraniteCrete solution. Okay, let's do one last thing. So the last thing we're going to do, go ahead and put that over there, Bruce, for a second, is now that we've done all the compaction and got all the areas looking where the grades are correct and everything, the last thing you want to do is get a medium bristle broom bush. Go ahead and go off, and you're just going to roll it over the top. Now roll it. Yeah, because what this does is all the little imperfections that are caused from the compaction and from the edges of the wooden floats, from the edge of that, maybe a footprint, what this is going to do is it's going to clean that up. So now you break up a little bit of the top and it gets rid of those lines, and then you're going to roll it just a few more times. Now that is a finish, though, that we offer, which is a rough finish. You just basically broom it afterwards and you leave it. And that gives you more of a rougher finish, but we don't do that very often. So go ahead and roll this, Aubrey. And keep an eye on it. As soon as the water disappears and it's gone away, then hit it with a broom and re-roll it. Okay, and that should get rid of that shine that's going to be caused by the by the water coming up on top. Okay. That spot right there, I would add a little bit more to it. I think it's because there's some low spots in it. Yeah, see how it's a little rough right there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, right there you want to add a little bit to it and then pound it in. Yes, see Alan, how just having the roller on the product. Yeah. See how the water came up? Right.
Oh, right where it's sitting there? Yeah.
There's too much water in it. And then like here too, probably in another half an hour, run the medium broom over it and then roll it.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
That'll break it up and help give it a more consistent look. So for a cold joint, you want to pick a place that's going to be aesthetically pleasing where you want to stop that day. Get a piece of 2x4 or the metal bender board, whatever will be a barrier to end that day. You're going to compact up to that barrier. All the way through. The next day, you're going to peel that piece of barrier away, okay? Moisten your old install, and then start putting fresh stuff against it, and then build it up a little higher than the finished grade on the side that the old install, and then you're going to get the 2x4 or whatever you need, and you're going to run it along the edge on the fresh stuff, right against the new stuff, and then just basically using your foot or whatever, stand on it to compact it. And that gives you a nice clean seam, and then kind of just hit it with a broom to feather it, and then compact it a little bit, with a roller, and that makes a nice clean finish. It's still going to be a mark, but that's the cleanest we've been able to come up with.
Okay. So you're not actually doing like an expansion type joint or
no,
that? Yeah.
No. Now, some people will just use a piece of metal and just, put that across or a 2x4 across, whatever, because it's, they can stop it where it's someplace that it looks like it's a natural, that's what you wanted it to do. And they've done that too. That's a nice clean finish. And you just leave it there. Yeah, so that's another way of doing it. But if they don't want anything there, then that's the best way we have found to do a cold joint. That right there, Alan, I'd say in like another 30 minutes, just keep an eye on it. When the water completely disappears
hit it with the broom.
From it, hit it with the broom, and then hit it with the roller.
Yeah, like I said, excellent.
Yeah.
Any special technique on the joints in between the pavers?
Just using wooden floats, or maybe you guys can, cut a piece of wood that strategically fits in it, but it's gonna be just getting it good and compacted inside those joints.
Cool.
Yeah, and you want to mix it wet. You want to add it into those wet.
Would we get that slightly wetter than we did with this?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's important to have that be really permeable.
Yeah.
So
you don't over wet it.
Okay.
Yeah, make sure that it should look like that. That's perfect water content, by the way, right there.